and a person who is open and transparent in his work. And with those very many remarks, I want to call my friend, age mate, Dr. Mohisa Kitui, former Secretary General of UNCTAD, and a person who was a colleague minister. We were in college together, then in parliament together, then in government together, and now working together in the opposition. Yeah.
Asante sana. Your Excellencies, Ambassadors and High Commissioners, friends of Kenya, Your Excellencies and honorable leaders of political parties, other friends of Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Mosyoka, ladies and gentlemen. Nice things have already been said about our host today, so I'm not going to repeat those. I just want to say one or two little things that don't so much mark what he did, but why we miss such talent in public leadership in the country today. The first 10 years of my acquaintance with Honorable Kalonzo Mosyoka, he was a Minister of Government, and I was an opposition parliamentarian. The highest point of our altercations was during the crisis of the genocide in Rwanda, when I brought to Parliament a motion of adjournment to discuss the failure of African diplomacy and the failure of the world to stop the butcher of innocent civilians in that then sad place. Since then, we even got very, very closely together, because after the 2002 elections, I became Minister of Trade and Industry and was Foreign Minister. We were both members of Council of the East African Community. So for a very, very intense 3-4 years, we were intimately involved in negotiation of a common market, the customs union and common market for East Africa. I remember we were spending sleepless nights with Jakaya Kikwete and the Deputy Prime Minister of Uganda to beat the deadline, because there was that drive and desire for East African integration. But beyond that, he's known as Mr. Peace Builder for his work not just in Sudan, but also the Baghdadi process for peace building in Somalia. We mention these things not so much as a celebration of an icon of diplomacy, but as a sharp contrast to the sad situation in which we find ourselves today. Unfortunately, egos and guns have been bigger in supply than brains in South Sudan, and you see how the promise of the youngest African country has turned into disaster. The speech from South Sudan and the poorest victims of those that fever in our country. Similarly, Sudan unravels as Khartoum becomes a no-go area. It pains those of us who have associated with peace building to know that we have a president who, sheerly for personal interest in bloody gold, is dragging Kenya into a crisis that is not our own. And he brings people to this territory to try to form a so-called shadow government, when those people have gained a reputation for slaughtering black people in Darfur and Zagawa. It's a disgrace that could never happen if Stephen Kalonzo Mosyoka had his way, had a say in how Kenya runs its diplomacy. Similarly, we are passing through difficult times. Today, as I was coming, I heard the announcement of the Franco-German defense agreement. The first time that Europe has had to look at building a new architecture for defense because of rumbles across the Atlantic. It's a difficult times. But for us, we believe that friends of Kenya will still have the attention to support our democratic project. They could still stand with the efforts of people like Kalonzo Mosyoka. Traditionally, the struggle for Kenya's democracy has been watered by the principled statement of the diplomatic community that's good for the country, without fear of intimidation, without being blackmailed, without pretending to hail a king as having the best clothes when you can see that the king is naked. Sorry, it's not my day. I just want to say we contrast what we have heard and what is existing in the Kenyan gene pool and the inadequate capacity, competence, and execution of diplomatic duty that we witness in our country today. I am proud to be associated with Stephen Kalonzo Mosyoka, and thank you very much for making us share this important day in your life. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, the ambassadors, high commissioners, and our distinguished guests, yes, allow me to acknowledge two people. We have the ambassador of Cyprus with us here, and also the senator for Kisii County, Senator Onyonga. I will it's now my humble pleasure to invite the Wiper Democratic Movement Chairman, Andrew Sunguli. Sunguli has been a close friend of His Excellency Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Mosyoka. They have been together in politics together, and he wants to make a few remarks.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I happen not to have the kind of credentials that have been read out here. Actually, my only political credential is that I was the running mate to Stephen Kalonzo Mosyoka in what turned out to be the shortest presidential race in Kenya's history. Speak many languages, including double speak. But I'll try. It's a great honor to have been associated with Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Mosyoka and to realize that he is actually celebrating 40 years in politics. And I don't know whether you understand what that means. There is a common joke that used to run, and it was in the form of a question. What does a politician and a diaper have in common? And the answer is that both of them should be changed regularly, and for the same reason, and the reason that it gets soiled. So to have survived 40 years without the need to be changed tells you that he has outlived many diapers and he hasn't soiled himself in politics. I think that alone is what makes us celebrate Stephen Kalonzo Mosyoka today. And combined, of course, with his politics, with his diplomacy, which, as you all have been told, especially by Mheshimiwa Martha Karua, that his diplomacy is not career diplomacy. It's a living diplomacy. He is a living diplomat. In fact, a few decades ago, the late Mwai Kibaki was popularly referred to as a toast. I want to propose a toast. Just fill up your glasses with whatever you are drinking, and if somebody would also hand me one, non-alcoholic, to be precise. So, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, I want to propose a toast. And this toast is a toast for long life and good health and greater victories ahead for His Excellency Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Mosyoka. Let's toast to his long life and to greater success. Pongezi sana, pongezi sana. At this juncture, I think I'll hand over to the MC and you.
Andera, sauti kwa hii mic.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, we have reached the climax of today's function. We are celebrating 40 years of diplomacy and a political journey of His Excellency Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Mosyoka. Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Mosyoka, you may have seen from the documentary under the CV, has been the Vice President of this country for 5 years from 2008 to 2013. He has been a minister in 5 different ministries. He was once a Minister for Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. He was also a Minister for Education and Human Resource Development. He was also a Minister for Tourism and Information. He was also a Minister for Environment and Natural Resources, and he was also a Minister of Home Affairs in this country, Kenya. He was also a Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly. Previously, he had served as an Assistant Minister for Public Works. He is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya and a senior counsel. His career spans for more than 40 years, and it is now my humble pleasure to invite the keynote speaker, His Excellency Stephen Kalonzo Mosyoka, to address the gathering. Thank you.
Invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, this is meant to be a stress-free occasion. So just shake around and say, this is no serious business. And just greet the person next to you, because I think you should. If there's somebody you don't know, please don't leave. Your Excellency, Australian High Commissioner Gachagua could. And so let me start also by apologizing. In fact, I was Gay's name on printed list, printed program. I was meant to have gone to have tea with her before coming here. And I think my team were very, very excited that Dr. Sally Kosgei, who has worked for me for longest in the world of diplomacy, would have wanted to be here. And I'm sure after this, I'm going for my cup of tea with Sally. So as I listened to my colleagues and friends, I was wondering whether they are talking about me, actually. Yeah, look at you. Were you really talking about me? A guy from Muna in Sekuru. After Wamonyoro last Sunday, we all decided the next stop should be Sekuru. There's a village called Muna. And Muna actually means when you get to Muna, you get completely helped. You turned around. Your fortunes turned around. It's always nice to hear positive feedback from friends and colleagues, and I truly well appreciate it. I'm thrilled to see you've endured both Nairobi's traffic and weather. Nairobi weather is becoming like British weather. You meet a British man, they ask you, how is the weather today? Nairobi weather is becoming pretty much like the British weather. Thank you for trying, and you've all made it. That's your decision to join me this evening. It speaks volumes. Your Excellencies, party leaders, members of Parliament, members of the 4th and 5th Estates, dear friends, colleagues, and family. A month ago, on April the 10th, I quietly marked 20 years of diplomacy and 40 years of political dialogue. You've seen that. My head was full of good hair when it started. To my wife, Pauline, who is watching, thank you for being my life partner and my soulmate. You're the perfect description of that lady in Proverbs 31:25-28. She's clothed, I quote, with strength and dignity. She can love at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom and faithful instruction